My commute to start work on the house this week looked a little bit different as Philadelphia got 10 inches of snow and below freezing temperatures for the foreseeable future. With public transit inoperable and roads unplowed, the only option was a 2.5-mile hike through blizzard conditions. I kind of miss when I was a kid, snow just meant a day off from school, but now owning a house, I'm thinking about the snow load on my roof and trying to make sure that my drain isn't frozen over and that my HVAC is exhausting properly. It's a minor miracle that the trim guy was able to make it to the house to start work on Monday, and while he's at it, I'm going to be preparing the entryway for tile. The floorboards in this entryway are rotted out because the previous tile floor was laid right on the wood with no waterproofing. We're going to do it better this time. The tile I'm using is original to an old row home in West Philadelphia that was salvaged and ready to be reused. My first step is to lay it all out with spacers to get an idea of the size so that I can cut out the floor appropriately. As always, when working with an old house, nothing is square, so I have to make choices here on what I want aligned, and I decided to align the whole thing on that top right wall so that the baseboard reads a straight line with the tile. I want this new tile floor to be flush with the wood floor, and I also had to deal with that damage in the floorboards. So my plan is to nail on these 2x4s to the side of the joist to act as ledgers to have a subfloor flush with the top of the joists. Then I can put cement board and tile on top of that. It's always a learning curve doing something new, and I mounted it a little bit too high, so let's try that again. I've never done a tile floor before, but what I do know is that the substrate, what it's mounted on, needs to be pretty solid because if it deflects, the tile can crack and pop off. To try to prevent that, I'm doing some solid blocking on the edges and also a piece in the middle, but it's pretty challenging because I'm working around ductwork and electrical wiring. A challenge to deal with was this 2-inch gap between that first joist and the masonry wall, so I tried to get support for the cement board by screwing in a pressure-treated 2x4. This second bay is very similar to the process for the first bay, but there's also a third bay that needs support because of the size of the tile. The edge of the floorboards are cantilevering over a joist and not quite bearing on the next joist. So I needed to work from the basement to get plywood up there and blocking. Same thing, but basically in reverse, working from the basement. Well, we made some good progress here. We need just to do the cement board, screw it down, do some waterproofing, and then lay tile, and that's great. I might want to do a transition board here, like a horizontal in wood. So I'll ask my floor guy if he wants to do that, because there's also some damage we got to get rid of. But yeah, otherwise went pretty smooth. This is kind of a similar detail to when you do a recessed shower pan. I don't know, I've seen it in that case where like a curbless shower, you have to recess the subfloor between the joists. It's not something I've ever done, but while I was doing this, the trim is getting done. Let's check it out. Super exciting to finally see trim on these doors and the transoms. We have the case installed on this opening. We got some baseboards down here. I haven't actually talked about the profiles I chose for base and case. Basically like a step back, kind of Art Deco inspired baseboard. And I think now that that base and case is in, you can kind of see what I was going for with the panel molding, how it's kind of doing the same thing with the step in and step out. All these doors are complete on the second floor, and here the trim's actually complete. They got this door installed, which of course needs to be cleaned up. It's pretty exciting to finally be seeing trim. Every step is a delight to watch, and one step closer to moving in. And this is just the start of the week, so I think they'll be finished by the end of this week, easy. And tomorrow, trim and tile is gonna be happening. So, busy week. I was having this problem where towards the right in frame the tile was sitting a little bit lower than on the left, so I used a planer to try to knock down any high spots on the joist or the subfloor. After a lot of cutting and test fitting, we're finally ready to get this cement board base set in place. And I know it seems crazy, but I'm putting thinset directly on OSB. I did a lot of research, and I think this will be okay. Basically, this is a setting bed for the cement board, because if there's any lumps or bumps or voids under the cement board, it'll tend to deflect, and then the tile will crack. So this thinset will just fill in any little divots in the subfloor to make sure the cement board has solid contact throughout. Thinset is definitely not rated to adhere to OSB, so you definitely can't tile on top of OSB. But this thinset is not about adhesion, rather it's about just filling voids, so it's fine. And moisture-wise, it's a one-time thing. The OSB might get a little damp, it'll dry out, and then we're gonna have waterproofing on top of the cement board. After tightening the cement board with all those screws, a lot of thinset kind of squeezes out the edges, and I was really careful to clean up this excess thinset between the cement board and the old wood floor, because there's a lot of expansion and contraction with the floor with the seasons. The process now is pretty similar to the showers that I've been doing these past weeks. I'm putting thinset into all the screw holes and also doing a fiber mesh tape embedded in thinset at the seams. In a lot of ways, I'm thinking about this tile entry area similar to a shower pan, so I'm adding like a 1.5 2-inch tall piece of cement board on this edge to make sure water doesn't get down there and down into my structure. Good evening. Well, evening for me, at least. You might be wondering why I'm not spending more nights at the new house, considering I have a toilet, I have heat, I have internet, all great things for living, but the one thing I don't have there yet is my Helix mattress. And it just so happens, Helix is the sponsor of today's video. I got my mattress from Helix several months ago now, and it's been incredible. Just the quality of rest I get after long days of construction at the house. And the thought of sleeping on an air mattress, I can't do it. I just can't do it. Mattresses are just one of those things you don't think that much about, but when you do think about it, you spend so much time sleeping, it's worth the investment to be sleeping right. And when you're ready to upgrade, Helix is the best way to upgrade. They make it super simple with their sleep quiz where you can answer questions about your personal sleeping habits and they'll match you with the best mattress for you. When I took the sleep quiz, I was paired with the Midnight Lux mattress, and it turned out I aced this quiz because the Midnight Lux mattress was ranked best overall mattress from Wired and Forbes. Helix offers free shipping and seamless delivery, so there's no hassles getting your mattress. And once you get it, there's also a 120-day sleep trial, where if you're not happy with it, you can send it back. But once you try it, I think it's unlikely that you're going to want to give this mattress back because 82% of people in their sleep study reported increases in their deep sleep cycles. And if you're not quite ready to replace your old mattress, Helix has great options for mattress toppers that can add comfort and extend the life of an older mattress, or just make your guest bedroom a little bit more comfortable. When you're ready to upgrade your sleep experience, you can head to helixsleep.com/Chris Again, helixsleep.com/Chris and they have 27% off site-wide for their President's Day sale. Thanks again to Helix for sponsoring this week's episode. As much as I love working alone at the house, it's a pretty incredible feeling to know that so much is getting done while I'm fiddling with this floor. Some very exciting progress in here. Look at that green tile. The ketchup and mustard, those are just wedges. The tile leveling system, that obviously won't be there. That whole wall is finished. We got the trim started in here. Not quite finished, but the case is finished on the back side of both of these doors. Case finished here. That room was finished yesterday. And up on the third floor, check it out. We got baseboards. We got our case. Both of these doors. I think all the trim is done actually up here. Got the trim in the bedroom. Okay, well, we're missing a piece there. Trim in the bathroom. We got this cased opening for the shower done. And of course the tiles as well. Check that out. Wow. Some people were worried about hiring a cheap subcontractor. $2,000 to tile these two bathrooms is like a great deal. Again, I'm providing all the materials, but still. And I found through the project that my general knowledge of construction, though I may be new at this, I do know a lot from school, I'm able to kind of get the most out of a subcontractor, because a lot of the things to do them right doesn't take more time necessarily. For example, the siding guys and the detailing of the house wrap around the windows, I just told them how I wanted it to be done and they did it that way. I think the challenge is when you're a homeowner and you don't know how things should be, a cheap subcontractor can just cut corners and you won't really know. But in this case, I kind of know. I haven't tiled before, but I've watched a lot of videos now. And also there's a little extra work from me. You know, it's not the cleanest. There's a lot of thin set coming out the bottom here. So, well, it's still a little bit wet. I'm working on just scraping that out from this bottom joint. I'm cleaning up everything, and overall, I think it looks great. There was one note I made to the tile guy. He had this too tight. It's still, honestly, a lot tighter than I'd like. We have like a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch gap there. You really need a gap with silicone so that if the wall expands and contracts and this pan moves, you're not gonna crack the tile and the tile's not gonna pop off. So that was one note I made. I think, you know, if you're using a tile leveling system, it's hard to go wrong. The one thing that wasn't perfect, I would say, is the coverage. I was looking behind the tiles a little bit, and it's not like 100% coverage, but honestly, I think that'll be fine. All right, well, I'm really jumping around here. I realized I don't want this rail behind my stove. I gotta take this out, cut it, mount things, you know, figure it out. The reason this has to come out is because I want to make sure the stove can be flush to the wall so it's not sticking out from the front of the cabinets, and I got to do this before the countertop gets installed. That'll do it. It's the next day and the tile guys aren't here because they only have one wall to do and they'd get it done too fast because I don't have the white tile. It's coming tomorrow. But critical path item, I gotta mount this sink and then mount the stone top on the vanity so they can tile to that edge. I thought it was gonna be an easy job, should be. But I lost the screws that go into these threaded inserts. So I had to run to the hardware store, had to walk like 1.5 miles, and hopefully these screws are the right size. That is way too small. It's way too big. So the only tricky thing about doing this is I gotta mount the sink and then I gotta get under it to make sure there's no silicone squeezing out the edges. So set it up like this, I can crawl under, check it out. Let's do it. I gotta get the direction right with the overflow on the front edge. Gotta be careful with that. I'm just test fitting this vanity top before setting it. And I was like, oh no, what's wrong? But it's nice when you have tools. It's a pretty easy fix. Hard to see, but this piece here, I just gotta cut that back a little bit and it should drop in nice. So cut that, make sure it fits, silicone, install. There's always something. And I think my plan here is to remove the bracket, cut this down, and then I'll just pre-drill a hole and screw this like fin wall into the front. Just needs a little bit of a connection. I mean, the bracket's better, but I think what I want to do will work just fine in a pinch. trim guy just wrapped up. Tile guys didn't come today because we were waiting on this tile, but we got it delivered. I'm going to show you that, and I'll also walk you through a few of the trim details that I worked with the trim guy on. I didn't do any of the work, but we had a lot of conversations about how I wanted things to be done. And also he had a lot of great insight, as he does this all the time, and gave me great advice. Oh yeah. So here it is. It's a very simple, just white matte 24 by 12 tile. And kind of the design idea, the tub is white, the sidewalls, both sides are white, the ceiling's white. Then this trim is green, or maybe even this dark maroon color of the rail. And then basically by having these white strips, it isolates the back feature tile. So it's the same in this bathroom and the bathroom upstairs. And with this tile, I'm gonna have it set vertically centered on all of the trims and whatever's left on either side of that. Now we're talking trim. I think he did a great job on this window. It's the same case as the doors, and I requested just to use a full 1x8 for the sill. So it's a little bit of a deeper sill than was usual for him, and that raised some questions with the edge detail, but I think it looks really good. We have another piece of case on the bottom. I think that could have been a piece of baseboard to make it a little fatter, but I think it looks great as is. The next thing, he ripped down some small pieces here to cover that gap between the transom and the door jamb, and I think that looks great. It's flush with this piece of the case here. And then moving to the stairs. These stairs are really weird because it's not like a normal straight run that has a defined angle, because each of these treads are different length, and the bottom one there is like just a couple inches because it's winding around. So there's a ton of ways that you could do this, but factoring in having this board on the skirt of the stairs there, I'm gonna have a piece of hardwood or something on top of that, and having the baseboard come down and then wrap up will make a lot of sense with this flat piece coming up. So there's a lot of things you can do with the trim to make other things like this weird condition start to make sense. And once we did that first, he moved over here and kind of did the same detail where it's coming up, returning. And I love this one here where it starts flat, up, goes flat, and then wraps around there. The base of this stair was a challenge. Honestly, all this stuff is challenging. Like, he did an incredible job making all this look tight. But here, what are you supposed to do? Because if you miter the baseboard back here and leave this drywall just going all the way down with a baseboard on the bottom, then you have this really bad detail here where the nosing is just hitting drywall. So that didn't really work. So this is a very creative solution. Definitely looks a little weird, not gonna lie, but it's the best we could come up with. Well, it's the end of the week. In terms of progress, I think this week lived up to the hype. I mean, just seeing these framed out doors and transoms, really beautiful. The tile guy, he finished up both these side walls. I'm gonna have trouble making sense of the edge. The frame wasn't quite plumb, so he just plumbed up the tile, and so that reveal's not gonna be very clean when I put the PVC. So I might need another piece of trim. I'll figure that out at some point. Overall, tile works fine. I mean, I would like a bigger gap at the top and bottom for caulk. Let me show you up here. It's like, I mean, maybe a fingernail. So I hope the tiles don't pop off from the expansion contraction of the wood frame behind. It's kind of the same at the bottom, just hairline gap down there. But, he's doing it 10 times faster than I ever could, and decent enough. So yeah, we're gonna have a whole lot of filling holes, painting trim, and whatever else I got to do to finish up this house. Eventually we got to work on the kitchen, custom fronts down there. This week has been one of the busiest just in terms of the construction management side and GC side. There's been so much coordination because I'm rushing to try to be able to have a shot at moving in late February, early March, and there's so much to get done. So just with emails, renderings, drawings, figuring out what I want to do on so many levels, coordinating with the stone people, not only the countertop, but there's leftovers of the slab, so I'm measuring out like fireplaces and windowsills and other places I can use the stone, coordinating with carpet, coordinating the delivery of the tile, coordinating with the metal fabricator, and there's so many details with the rail and the newel posts that I've been working through so I know what to do. And that's come out kind of more expensive than I would have liked. It's like $4,400, I believe, to get the wall-mounted railings fabricated and to get everything powder coated, including the cable rail system. Oh yeah, also coordinating the floor in the living room, coordinating always sponsorships and YouTube stuff is a whole other level, and then editing the videos. So super busy week, and I'm excited for a brief break for the weekend, and then we will dive back in. So that's all for this week. Thanks as always for watching. Keep moving forward, and one of these days, I'll be moving in.